Open the bag.
I paid for everything in here.
Ma'am, I'm not asking twice.
Then you should have asked right the first time.
Why do you people always want to do this the hard way?
I said, who happened they are talking to right now? You will regret every second of this.
A Calhoun County sheriff stopped a black woman at the exit of a shopping center on a Wednesday afternoon. She had a receipt in her purse for every item in her bag. Her son was standing 3 feet away. The sheriff told her a report had been filed and he needed to inspect her groceries right there, at the entrance, in front of the glass doors, in front of whoever happened to be watching. What he did not know was that she had spent 19 years in law enforcement. That she had been sworn in as police colonel of that same county 3 days earlier. And that before the week was over, the body camera running on his chest would end his career for him. If you are ready to watch institutional arrogance meet the one person it should never have touched, hit that like button and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. And if this is your first time here, subscribe right now, because tomorrow's story is one you absolutely cannot miss. Let's get into it. The glass doors slid open and Rachel Wilson stepped out into the late afternoon. She had a grocery bag in her left hand and her brown leather purse on her right shoulder. Her son, Marcus, 11 years old and already half a head taller than she expected him to be at this age, came through the doors one step behind her. He was carrying his rolled science fair poster board under one arm and eating a granola bar she had bought him at the register. The car was in the second row, maybe 40 feet out. She had the keys already in her hand. She had taken 5 steps when she heard the change in the air. Not a shout. Not a radio crackle. Just footsteps, deliberate, already decided, the particular rhythm of someone who has chosen you before they reach you. She registered it the way 19 years in law enforcement teach you to register things, in the body first, before the brain names it. Sheriff George Lucas came around the side of the entrance column from her left. His uniform was pressed, his badge centered, his hand already raised in the universal gesture that says stop without the word. He was broad across the shoulders, somewhere in his mid-40s, with the kind of settled authority in his posture that comes from a long time in a role no one has ever made uncomfortable. He told her he had received a complaint. He told her it was routine. He told her he needed to take a look at what was in the bag. Rachel stopped walking. She shifted the grocery bag to her right hand, freeing her left, and placed it gently on Marcus's shoulder, drawing him half a step back and to her side. Marcus looked up at the sheriff. He looked at the second deputy, younger, standing off her right shoulder, completing the angle, and then he looked at his mother. Whatever he read in her face made him go still. He folded the granola bar wrapper into a neat square and held it in his fist and did not move again. The entrance plaza was wide and open. Floor-to-ceiling glass on 3 sides. A family coming out of the store had slowed near the doors. A man returning a cart 2 rows back had stopped pushing it. A teenager on a bench near the planter had looked up from her phone. The scene was visible from the parking lot, visible from inside the store, visible to anyone with eyes and a working sense of what they were looking at. Rachel looked at Lucas. She asked him what the complaint had described. She asked him for the basis of the stop. She asked him for his badge number. Lucas told her a report had been filed. He told her the procedure required a check. He told her he was asking her respectfully to cooperate. She looked at him for 2 full seconds. Then she set the grocery bag down on the pavement, upright, careful. She reached into her purse, not the outer pocket, the inner one, the flat one behind the lining, and removed a slim leather credentials wallet. She opened it. She held it at chest height, face out, angled precisely so that both Lucas and the deputy behind her could read it without either of them having to move a single step closer. She held it there and she waited. The wallet carried a photograph, a commission seal, and 4 lines of text. Her name. Her rank. Her jurisdiction. And a date, 3 days ago, when Calhoun County had sworn in its first black female police colonel in the department's 74-year history. Lucas read it. He read it again. Something shifted in his posture, not retreat, not recognition exactly, but the specific stillness of a man whose footing has just changed under him and who has not yet decided what to do about that. The deputy behind her said nothing. A woman near the cart returned with her phone out. Rachel closed the wallet. She returned it to her purse. She picked up the grocery bag. Then she looked at Sheriff George Lucas and she told him, level, unhurried, in the precise register of someone who has been in enough formal proceedings to know exactly what a recorded voice sounds like, that she would like him to think very carefully before he said another word. Because she was still listening. And so, she noted, was his body camera. The glass doors slid shut behind her. Rachel had a bag in each hand and Marcus one step to her left, still working on the last of the granola bar, the poster board tucked under his arm at the diagonal angle of someone who has been told 3 times not to drag it. The car was in the second row. She had the keys. She had 45 minutes before Marcus needed to be at the kitchen table with his note spread out, and she had already decided they were having pasta tonight because it was fast and he would eat it without negotiating. She had taken 4 steps when she heard it. Not a voice. Not yet. Just footsteps, the particular weight and rhythm of someone moving with intention rather than direction. The difference is something you learn to hear. 19 years had made her fluent in it. Her body registered the sound before her mind had finished naming it, and her pace did not change, but something in her did. Quiet. Ready. Lucas came around the entrance column from her left. He did not say excuse me. He did not say good afternoon. He stepped into her path with the unhurried ease of a man who has done this before and has never once had to account for it, and he told her he had received a report and needed to take a look at what was in the bags. Just like that. No preamble. No question. The statement of someone who does not expect to be asked what gives him the right, because in his experience, nobody asks. Rachel heard the second set of footsteps a beat later. Younger. Coming from the right. Deputy Briggs settled into position off her shoulder, not aggressive, not touching anything, just present, completing the geometry. The bracket. She knew the geometry. She had used it herself, in 20 years of situations where it was warranted. This was not one of those situations. Marcus had stopped chewing. He looked at Lucas. He looked at Briggs. He looked at the space between them and his mother, at the way the 2 men had arranged themselves without appearing to arrange themselves, and something in his face went quiet in the way that children go quiet when they understand something they were not supposed to have to understand yet. He folded the granola bar wrapper again, a smaller square this time, and held it in his fist and stood very still. Rachel shifted both bags into her left hand. She placed her right on Marcus's shoulder. She felt him hold the contact the way he had when he was small, the slight lean inward that meant I've got you going in both directions at once. Then she looked at Lucas. She did not raise her voice. She did not move. She asked him, clearly and without heat, what the report had described. Lucas looked at her the way men like him look when the question itself is the problem. He told her that was not her concern. Rachel looked at him for 1 second. Then she turned, took 2 steps to her left, and set both bags down on the hood of the nearest car. Not her car. A gray sedan she had never seen before, belonging to someone she did not know. She set them down gently, upright, the handles folded over, and she did it with the deliberate care of someone who intends for that detail to be remembered. Then she reached into the inner pocket of her jacket. Not the outer pocket. The flat one, close to the body, the one she had moved the wallet to on Friday afternoon after the swearing in because the rank changes where you carry the thing that proves who you are. Her fingers found it without searching. She drew it out, held it a moment in her palm, slim, dark leather, worn smooth at the corners from years of being opened in rooms where it needed to say something before she did, and then she flipped it open. She held it at chest height. Face out. Tilted forward at the precise angle that put the text level with both men's eye lines without either of them having to lean, step closer, or ask. She had done this before. She knew the angle. She did not speak. She gave them 10 seconds. She counted them the way she had learned to count silence in formal settings, not rushing it, not performing it, just letting the document do what documents are for. The wallet said, Rachel Wilson. Police Colonel. Calhoun County PD, commission date, Friday. Lucas read it. She watched him read it. Watched the line of his jaw tighten, the small muscular event of a man absorbing something he had not prepared for and choosing, in real time, not to let it move him. His eyes went from the photograph to the seal to the text and back to her face, and whatever calculation he ran behind that stillness, it did not produce a step backward. It did not produce an apology. It produced a breath, slow and deliberate, and then his voice. He told her that regardless of her position, a formal complaint had been logged with the department. He told her procedure required the inquiry to be completed. He told her he was sure she understood how these things worked. Briggs, behind her right shoulder, said nothing at all. Not a word. Not a sound. The silence of a man who has just understood that he is standing on the wrong side of something and has decided that stillness is the safest available option. Rachel did not look away from Lucas. 2 cars down, a woman had stopped mid-motion with a reusable bag in one hand and her car door open, watching. She was not watching the way people watch accidents. She was watching the way people watch something they want to be able to describe accurately later. Her phone was already in her hand, screen lit, arm loose at her side. Rachel closed the wallet. She held it. She waited. Rachel looked at him for 3 seconds. Then she said, fine. She turned back to the gray sedan and unzipped the first bag herself. No performance in it. No anger in the hands. Just the clean, efficient motion of someone who has decided that the fastest way through a thing is straight through it, and who understands, with the particular clarity of 19 years, that what she is about to do will matter more than anything either of these men could say. She began placing items on the hood one at a time. A box of pasta, set down flat. A bottle of olive oil, stood upright. A block of cheese in its plastic wrap. A carton of eggs, placed with both hands, level. Then the second bag, her son's science fair poster board, rolled and rubber-banded, which she laid along the top edge of the hood carefully, the way you handle something a child made. Then the small paper bag from the pharmacy section, stapled shut at the top, the store's logo printed on the side in faded blue. She set it down last. She set it in the center. Then she stood up straight. She looked at Lucas and said, that is everything I purchased. I have the receipt. She did not wait for him to ask for it. She reached into her purse, unfolded it, one sharp crease, the kind that comes from being tucked into a wallet rather than a pocket, and held it toward him between 2 fingers. He took it. He read it. She watched him read it, watched his eyes move down the column of items and prices, watched him reach the bottom and keep holding it anyway, past the point where reading was the reason. The paper stayed in his hands the way things stay in hands when the person holding them is trying to decide what comes next and has not yet found an answer. Rachel waited until he looked up. Then she asked the question. Not loud. Not sharp. One word at a time, in the flat, even registers she used when reading findings into a formal record, the voice that carries not because it is raised but because every syllable in it is deliberate and accounted for. What did the report describe? What was the suspect's description? And why does none of that match me? Lucas opened his mouth. What came out was the beginning of a sentence that did not know where it was going, and it showed. The grammar held for 3 words and then the thought behind it simply was not there. The woman 2 cars down had not moved. Her arm was still loose at her side, phone lit, recording. 2 employees had appeared at the store window, not together, not called, just drawn by the particular stillness of a scene that announces itself. Marcus stood where she had left him, poster board under his arm, wrapper still folded in his fist, watching his mother with an expression she would think about for a long time afterward. He had not looked away once. She repacked both bags first. Every item back in the order it came out, the pharmacy bag last, the poster board tucked under her arm. She picked up the bags. She looked at Lucas once more, not with anger, not with satisfaction, just with the level attention of someone committing a face to a record, and then she walked to her car. She opened the back door and set the bags on the seat. She held out her hand for the poster board and Marcus gave it to her without being asked. She laid it flat across the bags. Then she held the door while he climbed in, and she reached across him and buckled the seatbelt herself, the clip finding the latch on the first try the way it always did, and she told him to sit tight. He asked how long. She told him not long. She closed the door. She did not walk toward Lucas. She did not walk toward Briggs. She walked back toward the entrance, stopped 12 feet from the doors where the ambient noise from the parking lot thinned out, and made one call. Not to her department. To the Calhoun County Independent Oversight Board. The intake officer picked up on the second ring. Rachel spoke for 90 seconds. She gave him Lucas's badge number, which she had read off his chest at the moment he stepped into her path. She gave him Briggs's badge number. She gave him the incident time, the location by address and entrance position, and the Bodycam unit number she had clocked on Lucas's vest in the first 3 seconds of the stop, a habit so old she no longer noticed she was doing it. She gave him the first names and parking lot positions of 3 witnesses she had identified during the stop itself, the woman 2 cars down who had been recording since the credentials wallet came out, the man near the cart return who had not moved in 4 minutes, and the employee visible through the left panel of the store window. She told him the footage needed to be flagged and preserved before end of shift. She told him she would submit a formal written account before 9 the following morning. She ended the call. She walked back to the car. She got in, closed the door, and sat for a moment with both hands in her lap. Marcus asked if she was okay. She told him yes. She told him to show her what he had so far on the project. He unzipped his backpack and pulled out a folder with 3 pages of handwritten notes and a printed bibliography and a hypothesis statement he had rewritten twice because the first 2 versions, he said, did not sound like him. She read all of it. He talked her through the hypothesis, his voice finding its normal register again as he explained, the particular animation that came back into him when he was talking about something he had figured out on his own. They sat in the parking lot for 4 minutes. Then she started the car. The department placed Lucas on administrative suspension within 72 hours. A civil rights attorney filed notice of intent to litigate within 5 days, naming Lucas individually and the county sheriff's department as an institution, not on the basis of a single misjudgment but on a documented pattern that the filing described in 11 pages with 43 supporting citations. The store's exterior cameras corroborated every witness account down to the timestamp. Lucas's body cam footage corroborated the rest, the credential wallet, the 10 seconds of silence, the items placed on the hood one by one, the question asked in the clear flat register of someone who already knows the answer and needs the record to know it too. His attorney reviewed the footage on a Thursday morning. He did not return Lucas's calls after that. Rachel got home at 6:22 p.m. She came in through the side door, the one that opened directly into the kitchen, and she set both bags on the counter without turning on the overhead light. The last of the evening came through the window above the sink, flat and golden, enough to see by. She unpacked the bags in order. Pasta. Olive oil. Cheese. Eggs, which she transferred to the refrigerator one by one the way she always did because the carton never fit right on the shelf. Then the small pharmacy bag, stapled shut. She set it on the counter separately, away from the groceries, next to the printed medication schedule she kept under the fruit bowl, the one with Marcus's name at the top and the dosage columns filled in by hand because she had never trusted herself to remember it all without writing it down. She looked at it for a moment. Then she turned on the counter light and started the water for the pasta. Marcus came in from the hallway with the poster board already unrolled, holding both ends flat with his forearms, asking before he was fully through the door whether she would help him with the title font because he had tried 3 times and it kept coming out uneven. She told him to put it on the table. He spread it out across the full length of the kitchen table, smoothing the center with his palm, and pulled a ruler and 3 markers from his backpack with the focused efficiency of someone who has been thinking about this for most of the car ride home. Rachel pulled up a chair and sat down across the corner from him. They worked. Marcus did the lettering, ruler held flat, marker moving in the short deliberate strokes he had developed after deciding in 3rd grade that his handwriting needed a system. He had chosen the topic himself. 3 weeks ago, a Sunday afternoon, sitting at this same table with the assignment sheet and a list of rejected ideas. He had landed on it without help, written it in the margin of the sheet and circled it twice, and told her it felt like the right question. That was 3 weeks ago. Before Wednesday. Before the parking lot. Before any of it. Rachel looked at the board for a long moment. Then she told him it was good. She meant it, not as encouragement, not as the particular kindness of a mother smoothing the edges of a child's effort, but as an honest assessment from someone who had spent 19 years learning exactly which questions were worth asking and which ones only sounded like questions. It was good. It was the right question. He had found it on his own. Marcus carried the board to the refrigerator while she cleared the table. She tore 4 strips of tape and handed them to him one at a time while he pressed the corners flat against the door, making sure the edges would hold overnight. He stepped back and looked at it. She looked at it too. Then he said goodnight and went down the hall. Rachel stood in the kitchen for a moment after he left. The pasta pot was clean and drying on the rack. The medication schedule was on the counter where it belonged. The board was on the refrigerator, title centered, corners taped. She turned off the kitchen light. That was enough. If this story stayed with you, if you felt every second of what Rachel carried through that parking lot and still managed to bring home, then this video deserves to be seen. Hit the like button right now. Share it with someone who needs to see a black woman handled with the precision and dignity she was owed. Drop a comment below telling me what moment hit you hardest. And if you are not subscribed yet, do it now, because tomorrow's story is already waiting, and it is one you will not want to come to late. Rachel Wilson walked out of that parking lot with her groceries, her son, and her title completely intact. George Lucas walked out with a Bodycam recording he forgot was running. The rest, as they say, took care of itself.